Hey, what's going on, guys? The Amplified Man coming at you with an impromptu Q&A vid. We used to do these all the time when I started the channel. We called it Amplified Q&As. We did them on Thursday nights, and then we switched it over to Sunday nights, I believe. But that was when it was much more manageable because I was just starting out the channel. We had about 500 subscribers, maybe, and we had about 20 or 30 questions. And then, of course, that went to 1,000 subscribers, and the questions started getting into the hundreds. And then we started to grow more and more, and it just became unmanageable. And people were getting upset because I couldn't get to their questions. So we had to do away with it. But every once in a while, I like to do these type of videos where I take a couple of handfuls of the most asked questions, and I put them together, and I do a video like this. So I felt this was a good time to do it. I'm actually about to be on my way to the Jersey Shore so I can do a 5-mile cardio run. Half the 5 miles up the shore, the other half down the boardwalk. That's my hope. Sometimes because of the weather and it can be just too hot. And sometimes just how I'm feeling after a couple of miles. Sometimes I don't complete all 5. But that's the hope. That's the goal. But I have a little bit of a window before I take that journey. I can't spend too much time during this Q&A, maybe about a half an hour, and that's because I'm almost out of my Starbucks mocha frap. So I got about a half an hour for this Q&A. So I thought it would be pretty cool to do. Hopefully you guys are on board. I'm going to answer things like my thoughts on the Drew Gulak situation, Sasha Banks' booking, my comments on Jim Cornette, and his comments on Becky Lynch and her pregnancy. People were outraged by that. A lot of you guys want to know my thoughts on it. Tyler's Day 30, if I haven't already mentioned, I'll touch up on that. But before I talk about anything, guys, I wanted to talk Shad Gaspard. You guys by now, unless you've been living underneath a rock, know what happened to Shad and his son this past weekend. I believe the California beaches had just opened up too because of what's going on in the world. And Shad and his son were excited to get out in the water and get some fresh air and just have a good time. And, yeah. I can't even fathom. First of all, I'm not even a great swimmer, so I can't even fathom what happened to Shad and his son. But apparently the tides were just too rough, and they got caught up in it. And I don't know, the rescuers came out, lifeguards, rescuers, whoever was out first. Shad was pointing over to his son and yelling out, help my son, my son. So his last act was saving his son's life. That tells you right there what type of a human being Shad Gaspard was. And that's what the rescuers did. They helped his son to shore, and when they turned around, they saw a huge wave collapse down onto Shad, and they never saw Shad again. He never came up. And for the last 3 days, there was huge searches going on. But we all kind of knew deep within us that it wasn't looking good. But until you find a body, you don't want to say that that's the result. You're hanging on. You're clinging to hope and that some miracle will happen. Well, this morning when I woke up, guys, I found out that a body was found near where Shad went missing. We believe it to be Shad, obviously. That is not confirmed yet because that would be irresponsible and reckless until the family confirms it and then they announce it on their time. That's why it hasn't actually been confirmed. But you can kind of connect the dots. He just went missing a few days ago. There's a body that's been found. It's most likely Shad Gaspard. And even if it's not, I think we can all draw the same conclusion by now. I don't know many people that can survive days in the middle of an ocean. Again, I can do the frog maybe, so I can't say I can't swim. But I can barely swim, so I can't even fathom. But somebody like Shad who can, to not be able to get back to the shore line, that's not good. And days later, I think we know what happened. But now that a body has been found, you can look at it as a good thing because now the family can have closure, right? They can have a proper burial and Shad can have the proper send-off. So finding the body is a good thing in that light because the worst case scenario is you never find the body. So in that aspect, it's a good thing they found the body. On the other hand, it's it's sad as well because you know that at that point, all hope is gone. There is no more chance for a miracle. That is the definitive period on it all. That's the end. The body has been found. There's no more holding on to that hope. You know, I mean, I don't mean to depress anybody, but that's the sad truth of it. So there's good in finding the body. And then there's the aspect of, fuck, that means it's over. And I just hate when bad things happen to good people, because when you hear people talk about Shad Gaspard, you hear nothing but the highest of praise. He is spoken about in the highest regards, in the highest respects. And that's not always the case with human beings. I'm telling you guys right now. We all like to think we're cool and we're awesome and people love us. But when you hear people talk about you, sometimes it's not all good. You know, you realize that you have some flaws and that maybe you weren't the best human being you possibly could have been. But when you hear people talk about Shad, it's nothing but good shit. Way before this even happened, you know, when something bad happens to somebody, usually you have everybody coming out of the woodwork and speaking praise. But even before this, people had nothing but good things to say about Shad. And you look at what he did for his son. Don't worry about me. My son's over there. Help him. That tells you what a father he was. And just, you know, how he was as a human being to his family, friends, and loved ones. Man, nothing but the utmost strength, support, and love to his family going forward, guys, because that's where our focus should be. So, much love to Shad, his family, and loved ones. And that's where I'm going to end it, guys. I don't want to speak any more about it until we have definitive word. And then even then, we should just concentrate on the family right now, you know, especially Shad's son. But it's just a tragic situation no matter how you look at it. That's my thoughts on it. And I want to move on, guys. You know, I want to talk about Ember Moon. I always get questions on Ember Moon. I can't tell you how many. Half the people out there are asking me if there's an update, and the other half that ask me questions on Ember Moon, this is a true story, they literally don't even know she got injured. And I don't blame them, because it was in the most obscure of ways. You guys want to know how she got injured? You're going to fucking laugh in tragedy over this. Ember Moon was injured. Her Achilles ripped off the fucking bone by chasing down R-Truth and Carmella for the 24/7 championship months ago. I was a fan of that 24/7 championship when it first got brought into the picture. Because you look at what it did for R-Truth and Drake Maverick, that was comedy gold. And even showing up to a golf course or at an airport, I like that. That's interesting to me. And it took nothing away from the actual titles that were being defended, the actual prestigious championships. So I didn't mind the 24/7 title. But then it started turning into a clown show. They started having the local gas attendant at the 7-Eleven winning it. The ESPN anchor was winning it. Your 97-year-old grandmother was probably in line to win the 24/7 title. It became absolutely a clown show. To the point where they actually had all of their jobbers running in circles trying to chase down the champion. How pathetic. And then it got so bad that they were taking some of their top talent, or should have been top talent, and they were putting them into this conga line chasing down the 24/7 title champions. They were taking Asuka and Ember Moon and putting them into the line. How are you going to use Ember Moon in a chase down conga line segment? And wouldn't you know, how's the irony in this? You have one of the top female professional wrestlers in your company, and you use her in a rundown segment. A pointless segment where she injures herself. Why did she injure herself? Because she only knows one speed, and that's full throttle. She told Booker T 4 months ago during Booker T's podcast, she said, when I got the phone call, I was so happy because I thought I was being pushed. And when she found out it was this running segment, she was like, oh, are you sure you actually need me? Well, in other words, like, I don't want to, I mean, this is not what I trained to be a pro wrestler for. But she was a team player, she told Booker, and she did it anyway. And she told R-Truth before they actually did the segment, she told Truth, I'm going to try to catch you. And if I do, I'm taking you down. How cool is that? So when they aired the segment, Ember Moon went full throttle and she went through the curtain. And R-Truth and Carmella, and this is no shade to them, But they were just thinking when they get through the curtain and they're no longer seen by the crowd, they're just going to stop, right? They did their segment. They did what they had to do. They're going to go to the hotel, get their room service, and collect their money. Ember Moon was playing it. Ember Moon was fully invested. So she was running full speed. So when she got through the curtain, she had to take another 20 steps at least before she slowed down. Because that's what she told Booker T too in that podcast. She said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it fun and I'm going full throttle. But when she got through the curtain, R-Truth and Carmella had stopped already. So Ember had to stop on a dime. And when she did that, boom, she heard a pop. Her Achilles ripped right off the bone. How ironic that it is from a 24/7 chase down, right? We can't even say that Ember Moon was injured in some awesome, badass matchup. 20 minutes in length already. They were going to war, and Ember got injured. No, she was injured trying to chase down a non-prestigious bragging rights championship. It irks me. It does. And it irks me even more because if you're looking for an update, she was on Backstage last night and she told the panel, Booker T and Renee Young, that this could be career ending. Her rehab is not going as planned. It's not only going to take longer, but it could be career ending. She might never come back from this injury. The old man not only didn't use her half the time, but when he did use her, it was in the most obscure, irrelevant ways, and she got injured because of it. Instead of having her in professional wrestling matches, he has her running circles. And now we may never see her wrestle again. The last image that you will have of Ember Moon around a professional wrestling ring is chasing down in a conga line the 24/7 title from R-Truth and Carmella. Think about that concept. We may never see Ember Moon compete again, according to Ember Moon's own words. That's the update that I have, and I'm not happy about it, trust me. So, I don't know, guys. You can't make this shit up. If you were to tell me that that's how Ember Moon's career is going to end, not just in WWE, but pro wrestling, what do you even... I can't even. Anyway, let's bring up the mood here, right? I'm talking about fucking Shad's got me fucking depressed. Then I talk about Ember Moon and I'm even more fucking depressed. So apparently Jim Cornette is at it again. Jim Cornette, to me, has always been one of the brightest minds in professional wrestling. Unfortunately, he's one of those cats where times have passed him by. And what I used to love about Jim Cornette is that he was never afraid to speak what's on his mind unfiltered. But what I've come to not like about Jim Cornette is he speaks his mind unfiltered. And the problem with Jim Cornette doing that is that a lot of what he speaks today is just nonsensical, utter bullshit. Like his views and theories on AEW, for instance. That's what I mean about the times kind of passing him by. And Becky Lynch wanting to be pregnant now, not being concerned with the money she's losing, not being concerned with being the top spot, which the Amplified man looks at as good qualities in a person. Some people are not in it just for money. Becky just showed you she's one of them. And then on top of that, to relinquish your top spot, to not be somebody like, oh, I don't know, John Cena, who held everybody down. We know this for a fact, right? He held people down for the longest of time. Whether he wanted to or not, this isn't even shade to John Cena. It's what he did, guys, even when he was supposed to. And I said supposed to because we know there was 2 or 3 prime times where he should have turned heel. And there were certain individuals that should have taken the top spot. You guys know who I'm talking about. But he didn't. He didn't want to turn heel, and what he did is he stifled in the process the people that were supposed to be coming up as faces. So whether he wanted to or not doesn't matter. John Cena held people down. It's just a fact. And Becky Lynch is like, no, I'm willing to grow whoever you want, bring whoever you want up, push whoever you want. I'm going to do this personally because it's something I really have a void with in my life. I think that's fucking awesome. She moved herself out of the way so others can have a chance. It's not about the money. It's not about the greed of the top spot. And Cornette can't fathom this, right? Because most people will be like, dude, I'm in the top spot. I'm making millions. I am not getting fucking pregnant right now. And I get it. But Jim Cornette compared Becky Lynch getting pregnant to Stone Cold Steve Austin at the prime of his career, walking into the men's locker room and saying, I'm going to break my leg tonight, leave millions on the table, and no longer be the top guy because I'm going to break my leg tonight. I'm going to deliberately, knowing in advance, break my leg. How is that even close? How can you equivalate that to Becky Lynch wanting to get pregnant? She's in her 30s. Bro, the window to get pregnant and have the healthiest baby possible. Now, you can have a healthy baby at 50, 60 years old. I'm just saying, if you do your research, women know that between 35 and 40, early 40s, that's like your last big window to have a kid without bigger complications arising. That's not again saying that you wouldn't be 47 or 52 and have a baby just fine. No complications. Of course that can happen. But if you do your research, the chances for complications in women 35 and over, they're drastically up. Let's just leave it that way. So Becky Lynch, I believe she's in her early 30s, correct? She wanted right now, with the new love of her life, Seth Rollins, she wanted now to start a family. She spoke about how for years that was a void within her, but she focused on her career. For years and years, she put that on the shelf to focus on her career. And Cornette says, well, I would have done it in a year or two then, right? Stay the top face for another couple of years. Who are you to decide somebody else's fate and what they should do? That's my question. She's been putting this on the shelf for years, she said. Years and years, focusing on her career. Where does it end? Who's to say that in another year, Becky Lynch doesn't get into movies big time? And all of a sudden, all of these big movie productions, they want her. And WWE wants to use her even more heavily. Then what are you going to say, Jim? In a year from now, are you going to say, well, she should wait another year? Where does it end is my point. Becky Lynch had that incredible ride at the end of 2018. The hardships of early 2019. Wrote out a pretty good story for herself the rest of 2019. Came into 2020 and has a newfound mindset and new goals to tackle. And that's personally. Of course, we can sit back and go, wow, the timing is fucking like, what? You're the champion. You're one of the highest paid. I think that's awesome. This isn't about greed. This isn't about hogging up the top spot. This is about somebody who personally had a void and has had enough. And maybe one day she'll be back, but for now, she's going out on top. In her mind, she's the champion. She was never defeated. If she ever comes back, what a story that is to tell. But my point is, for Jim Cornette to go that hard on Becky Lynch, dude, you're taking that a little bit too much to heart. What is your connection with Lynch, brah? Not everything is the business. Not everybody needs an extra $1 million. Not everybody needs to be a top spot. Some people want to have a fucking family and live a normal life for a minute. If Becky Lynch was doing this for a couple of years and then she got wildly successful and then chose to have a baby, maybe we could talk. She's been doing this longer than you think, Jim Cornette. Just because she's been a top superstar the past couple of years doesn't mean she hasn't been giving her life to the business. And then to use the equivalent of Stone Cold telling everyone he's going to break his leg in advance, bro, that has nothing to do with having a baby. She's in her 30s. She feels like now is the time. You cannot speak for someone else, period. But on top of that, as a dude, as a man, Jim Cornette, you cannot tell a female when is a good time to have a baby or what she should be doing with her career and her pregnancy status. As a man, Jim, you can't do that, bro. As a man, you need to step up and let her do what she's gonna do. Nobody knows better than Becky herself. That's my thoughts on Cornette, man. I like the dude. He's like Vince Russo and so many others, right? I like him half the time, and the other half, you just want to shake him. Jim Cornette can have glimpses of brilliance, and then Jim Cornette can be an absolute fucking idiot. I mean, it's hard to find a middle ground with Jim Cornette. But, Cornette's one of those dudes. He's a ranter and a raver these days, is what I call him, because he's one of those dudes that doesn't really follow the product that vividly. If you ever listen to Jim Cornette or his podcast or whatever the fuck he has, if you ever listen to his audio, he says a million times that he hasn't seen something or he hasn't heard about it, and he has some stupid fucking sidekick that feeds him the news, and then Cornette gives his thoughts on it. But if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about ahead of time, then who the fuck is honestly taking advice or your thoughts to heart? Who? That's what I mean. If this dude was watching all of this shit and knew what he was talking about, maybe I would take Jim Cornette more seriously today. I can't. There's a lot of people that claim they don't watch everything or they don't watch the product at hand, but they're going to talk about it, and we're supposed to fucking take their words as something valid? Nah, not me. So that's my thoughts, guys. A lot of you guys have been asking about Jim Cornette and his comments about Becky Lynch. That's how I feel about it. Jim Cornette has no fucking ground to walk on this. Just doesn't. And I highly question people that don't even follow the product in their words. Your words don't carry any weight with me. You know what I mean? I mean, today's professional wrestling, BC Amplified, in my words, carry more weight than Jim Cornette's thoughts on the product these days. Don't believe me? Listen to what Cornette has to say about AEW 99% of the time. It'll give you a headache. Moving on. My thoughts on if there should be an Evolution Part 2. Yes, absolutely, guys. I've been down for an Evolution Part 2 immediately after Evolution Part 1. What needs to happen, though, is when you're putting a focal point on the women, you have to make things, A, make sense, B, give them solid storylines that we can actually invest into, and number 3, give us dream matches that can deliver. Dream matches, even if it's only a 2 or 3 of them, that can go 20 minutes long, for instance. Give us those type of matches. And I assure you, an Evolution 2 will be pretty badass. We don't need the Nikki Bellas to be returning, right? Or the Alicia Foxes, or Kelly, Tori Wilson. We don't need all of that, to be honest. We just need awesome storylines culminating in badass matches. Evolution 2 not only could absolutely be a huge success, but it could set the pathway to an Evolution 3. And we could all be into that. You know, there's ways to do that where you can make the fans who were once jaded to that concept, you can make us or put us on board. You just have to care about your product. Care about the women's division. That's something they have not done. Just like the tag team division. Hell, their regular fucking men's division. No care gets put into it. So before you just jump into an Evolution Part 2, what is the game plan? I guess that's my big take on this. What's your game plan? You want to have an Evolution 2? You better give us something that we're going to get interested, invested, and care about. Because if you don't do that, it's going to flop. Much harder than Evolution 1. They have the talent on that roster. If you don't take your top talent, like Ember Moon, and parade them out there in a marathon around the ring, if you don't book her like that, and superstars like fucking Sasha Banks, who has not even gotten a fucking win in 6 months. A singles televised win in 6 months. But when you start booking your talent correctly, people will be on board with the concept of Evolution Part 2. But if you're going to book your superstars, if you're going to have Lacey Evans and Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax as your top superstars, if you're going to have someone like Charlotte Flair dominating 3 brands at once, guys, these are things that when you announce an Evolution 2, the normal fan is going to say, oh, please help us. There's no way I'm going to be interested in this. And I don't blame them. So I'm on board, but a lot needs to be done and needs to be rectified before you announce an Evolution 2. That's my words on it. My thoughts on Drew Gulak. This is a good one, man. I've been getting so many of these questions, and if you follow me over on social, then you know my thoughts on it. The fake outrage that was out there in the world after it was announced by a dipshitted dirt sheet that Drew Gulak was released, which ended up being absolute bullshit, but nobody wanted to do their research, even for 1 hour. They didn't want to let the story sit. Everybody wanted to be the first word on it. Everybody wanted to break the story. So when that dipshitted dirt sheet broke the news, and it ended up being fully wrong, false, everybody was already jumped on it. How dare WWE release an awesome talent like Drew Gulak? They were acting like it was the end of the world, guys. Legit. It was like the fucking sky was falling. If you went on social media after the Gulak announcement, you would have thought that Stone Cold in his prime had just gotten released. And I'm sitting back like, it's Drew Gulak. We just saw the Revival have to part ways. That's pretty fucking bad. We saw Zack Ryder and Heath Slater and Rusev, dudes that we actually like as individuals, not just wrestlers. They all parted ways. And Drew Gulak has everybody up in arms? I couldn't fathom this. And then news broke, literally just an hour after the original false story, that Drew Gulak's contract just expired. He wasn't released. At a time where WWE is making cuts, they did not cut Drew Gulak. They allowed his contract to come up, and then they renegotiated. The last word that we got was that Drew Gulak wanted more money. Well, WWE is in the middle of cuts with what's going on in the world today. So they didn't want to give out more money. So for now being the operative words, they parted ways. Drew Gulak could always show up next week on WWE TV. A contract, as we're speaking right now, could be signed between WWE and Drew Gulak. All they did, guys, was part ways for the time being. On top of that, Drew Gulak could show up this Saturday night at Double or Nothing. In AEW, Drew Gulak could show up in TNA Impact. New Japan. Isn't this what so many of you wanted? You were all upset because Vince McMahon is holding down talent. He's paying them a bunch of money just to basically hold them hostage so no other promotion can get their services. So you were all complaining and bitching about how you wanted these superstars to be out of WWE. But then when you found out Gulak was no longer with WWE, you flipped out. Well, which is it? Everybody was complaining they don't want people like Gulak there because they're not being used correctly. And then when he's finally out of prison, everybody's flipping out like it's the end of the world. And then they found out that his contract expired, he was not released, and they had to double down because they already looked like clowns at that point. What are you going to say? Oh, I jumped the gun too soon on this one. No, they had to double down, so everybody was like, well, still, Gulak is too damn good to let his contract expire. Fuck are you talking about? He's a damn good, solid wrestler, yes. He's even got a good personality. That doesn't mean he was going to be the next big thing. Doesn't mean he was going to swoop the fucking world right off their feet. He wasn't going to be the next fucking Rock, bro. It's Drew Gulak. Calm yourself down. Slow up your roll. We all like Drew. Everybody was flipping out like this guy was the second coming of Christ. It's Drew Gulak. I was the only one I felt, guys. I swear to you, if you went on social media, everybody was just in an uproar. I was the only one looking at this like this. You guys got what you wanted. Drew Gulak, a talented wrestler, is out of WWE. This is what you wanted. These people just flip out just to flip out. Any chance to give a dig to WWE, they're going to do. And trust me, I'm always for digging WWE because they deserve it. But fuck. This is a contract expiring from a guy who wanted some more money. Relax. He could come back. And then what are you going to say? Good. That's what WWE should have done. They should have done it in the first place. And then a day later, you're going to be saying, he should have never WWE. He's going to be used stupid. Like, come on. There's no winning with these people. He's out. You should have been saying, thank goodness. You know, you just can't win with these motherfuckers. And what is he going to do in AEW, guys? Come on, what's Drew Gulak going to do? He's just going to be another spoke on the wheel. You think he's going to take the title from Mox? Do you think he's going to be a main eventer? Do you want to see Drew Gulak as your main event of AEW? If that's where we're headed as in pro wrestling, guys, we went from The Undertaker and Stone Cold, or even the Hulk Hogans and the Warriors, to Drew Gulak is the top guy in AEW? No, it's not going to happen anyway. We thought that you guys thought that with Ty Dillinger. Has Ty Dillinger even came remotely close to the top spot in AEW? You think Drew Gulak is going to take that? I was hearing things like he's going to be the next Daniel Bryan. There's only one Daniel Bryan. Cut the shit. And by the way, you shouldn't want to be the next anybody. Be the first you. I like Drew Gulak. The fake outrage that I saw on social media was laughable. Laughable. That's my thoughts, in case you were wondering. And him going to AEW, okay, we're going to see good wrestling matches then. I could see damn solid wrestling matches at the local bingo hall with Danny Dipshit Dugenheimer versus Fuckwad Fred. Special guest referee, my local pizza delivery guy, Luigi Lugnuts. They can do amazing things down at the local bingo hall. I don't need to see Drew Gulak in AEW to give me good wrestling matches. I need to see larger-than-life characters absolutely captivating us time after time on the television set or live in person. If you can give me those type of individuals, I'm on board. If you're trying to sell me that Drew Gulak can be larger than life, I'm calling bullshit. I'm hoping I'm wrong. We'll see. Fake outrage for Drew Gulak. That's my thoughts on the whole situation. Contract expired. Relax. It happens in business. Unreal. My thoughts on the Sasha Banks booking. You guys know this is a pro-dominant Sasha Banks channel, so I get a lot of Sasha Banks fans asking me, BC, what's going on with Sasha? Listen, you guys know, if you follow this channel, I've given you the statistics. I've cracked the numbers for you. Sasha Banks has not had a singles televised victory in 6 months. Over 6 months now. She's just in tag matches, and even though she's losing most of the time. We are hoping that it's going to lead to something of Sasha Banks and Bayley at SummerSlam for the championship. That's a hope. But even that, I'm not over the moon excited about, right? If they did this years ago and it was supposed to happen at WrestleMania, I would have been much more on board. Now you're doing this at SummerSlam, which is the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, so it's not even a WrestleMania. On top of that, with what's going on in the world, we don't even know if there's going to be a crowd. So that subdues the celebration as well. And then thirdly, guys, are they going to insert Charlotte Flair into this? Because we've seen this in the past with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, where Vince was like, well, wait, I can't have two individuals hogging up all the spotlight, but my golden child isn't in it. So he last minute put Charlotte Flair into Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey at Mania. I would not put it past McMahon to set up a Sasha Banks versus Bayley SummerSlam title match, but then last minute, by last minute I mean a couple weeks before, insert Charlotte Flair into the match. And if that's the case, it dilutes it tenfold. Nobody needs to see Charlotte Flair in a Sasha Banks Bayley storyline, much less the actual match. And by seeing Charlotte Flair already in the Sasha Banks Bayley storyline, I wouldn't put it past Vince to do that, guys. Under this new interbranded rule, you can only appear on a separate brand 5 times, supposedly. Well, if you do your math, last week counts as one for Charlotte, maybe, unless they mean an actual match. But a match with Bayley Friday night is one of those 5. She'll probably have a match singly with Sasha Banks, which will be one of the 5. And that still leaves a good 2 or 3 appearances for Charlotte. And even if she cracks all 5, Vince will give Charlotte another 5 appearances on SmackDown. The Golden Child gets whatever she wants, or whatever WWE needs to give Charlotte to be pushed into the main spotlight. The old man in Stamford will make sure Charlotte has everything she needs. And Sasha and Bayley will only crumble below her, because that's how Vince will make it. So my booking of Sasha, even if Sasha gets a title match against Bayley at SummerSlam, I'm concerned. And again, first, before we can even think about title matches for Sasha, let's first get a single televised victory. Because again, more than 6 months, somebody of the talent of Sasha Banks doesn't even have a victory. Mind-boggling, doesn't even begin to describe the insanity of this type of booking. What else, guys? Can I talk the rating for Raw? This is a question that several of you asked just within the last 24 hours. Monday Night Raw scored a 1.7 in the ratings. This is not the lowest. I believe the lowest was a 1.6. My thought is this. First and foremost, I didn't feel it was a good show this week. So I'm not at all shocked that it was that low. The show itself was just not good. On top of that, when the show hasn't been good for years now, you don't really have any loose rope to grasp onto, right? You have nothing to hold on to. If your show has been pretty bad for years, you don't even get a mulligan. So as we've been seeing week after week, month after month, year after year, the ratings have been going down steadily for a reason. They've been consistently bad. Over the past couple of months, we've been seeing more and more glimpses of hope because some things were being done much better. So a lot of Monday Night Raw recently has been getting better. Not saying it's a good show, but some of these segments and stories have been getting better, or glimpses of hope anyway. But then you fall right back into your old ways this past Monday, and nobody is giving you the benefit of the doubt. Nobody is throwing you a mulligan. The second they turn on Raw and they see something horrible this past Monday, they weren't giving you another segment. They were shutting it right off or turning that channel. So that's another reason. I'm not shocked. And then, of course, guys, with what's going on in the world, you think because everybody's inside, they're watching more TV, but that's not necessarily the case. People are just fucking depressed. And if you watch a show like Monday Night Raw, there's a good possibility, a good chance, it's going to get you more stressed and more depressed. It's just the truth. Watching Monday Night Raw either gets you depressed or just puts you to sleep. You know, and not everybody wants to go to bed at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. or even 10 p.m. And watching Raw could do that. So, you know, you put all of this shit together, guys. I'm not surprised at all that this is a 1.7. And if they don't get their shit together, if they don't start, and this isn't patting myself on the back, but if you don't start listening to people like BC Amplified, you're going to hit 1.6, 1.5, 1.4. You're going to be, maybe not AEW NXT numbers, because that's pretty drastically low. That's another story. But you're going to be fiddling in the 1.1, 1.2 range. And that's where you have to drastically be concerned, because I call that the old school TNA Impact range. And that was not good back then. It's not good today. So that's my thoughts on Raw. The NXT AEW guys, that's a whole nother concern. Because they're barely hanging around 650,000 viewers apiece. They're both just over 600,000, I believe. Guys, that's really not good. And you guys know how I feel about NXT, and you know how much I want AEW to succeed. But when you're only pulling in 650,000 people, and you got a big pay-per-view coming up this Saturday night, it doesn't look good number-wise, man. The enthusiasm, the excitement, the interest in professional wrestling at large right now is at an all-time low. You see that with other content creators that cover pro wrestling on this platform. Their numbers are going down. Somehow the Amplified man, I say somehow, we all know I'm the best to do this shit. Much love to all the others though, man. It's hard work to do this, but you know, I like to think I'm in a level of my own. And while everybody else, all the other content creators, their numbers are actually dropping, right? Which is consistent with the model of what's happening on our TVs. Viewers are dropping. Content creators' numbers are dropping. The Amplified man, my numbers are actually going up. So that's telling, man. That goes to show you that what we're doing here on this channel, it's working, man. And it's pretty cool to see my numbers going up and to watch all of my fellow compadres in the community. Their numbers are dropping for their videos. You know, that's really telling. But if you take the Amplified man out of the equation and just look and focus on the other content creators, their numbers are falling right along with what you're seeing on TV with these promotions. And that's because the interest is down. How do you get that back up? Well, WWE plays a big role in that because they're the big conglomerate company. Once WWE gets their shit back on track, everybody else will start succeeding because the interest will be there. But a lot of the casual fans, they see how bad WWE is, and then they just think that everybody else is not even going to be in that league anyway, right? Because they weren't anyway, according to them. WWE was the big dog. Everybody else is below them. So if WWE sucks, everybody else must be even worse. That's the mindset of a casual fan. So that casual fan doesn't even watch the other promotions, and it's a trickle-down effect. And then the content creators can't get new viewers. That's the deal, guys. I'm breaking the numbers down for you because this is the research that I've done. The interest for pro wrestling is at an all-time low, and it starts with the WWE being so fucking bad. AEW, they suffer in the process. I know that sounds weird, but in an odd way, AEW benefits from WWE doing better. I know, it's a weird world, man, this professional wrestling shit. Lastly, guys, I want to touch up on Tyler's Day 30. This is, obviously, if you're very new to the channel, it's a movie that I've been working on for a few years now. And at this point, going to take even more years. We hope not. But at this point, it's looking like it. It's just an independent movie that I'm doing by myself. I'm producing this thing. I'm directing it. I'm starring in it as well. It's called Tyler's Day 30. And again, I started this a few years ago with some buddies of mine and a very limited budget. Just literally crumbs is what I started this movie on. And some of you guys even helped out. And when this thing is all said and done, I get to give out some producer credits and PA credits, things like that. It was pretty cool. And I think that was the big reason I wanted to do this. I just wanted to get my friends together. I wanted to get some of you guys together and really do something special. I don't think if I thought it was going to be this hard, but literally when you're producing your own movie and you don't have a big budget or a budget at all, and when you don't have a crew, and when all the decisions are lying on you, it's hard. And I found that out the hard way. And I had a lot of people that had plans change. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm filming a fucking movie. What do you mean you ain't showing up? I have a part that is you. And they're like, I know, but this came up. And, and that's when I was like, okay, that's what I get for hiring people that are close to me and not necessarily the most professional. So I had to go back and remodel the whole thing. And then when I was finally able to film, we ended up having some more issues. Had to wait till the next summer because this is all being filmed. When you watch it, it's all supposed to be one day. You guys will get what I'm saying when it's finally out there. But, so we had to wait till the next summer. And then unfortunately, we had one thing after another arise. And one of my co-stars, the main player with myself, his character, is just, the movie can't be done without him. He had some family issues in the DR that he's still dealing with. In a sense, we all are, because we're a close-knit group anyway, so we're all kind of dealing with this, but he's actually in the DR dealing with this head-on, and it's a family issue that comes first. So, everybody thinks that there's a longer delay because of what's going on in the world right now with this Wabaka. Guys, that's the least of my concerns right now for this movie. This is guerrilla style. I could probably get a few people that I need, and we can go and film this thing tomorrow, Stay socially distant and safe, but we could probably do that. This is the least of my concerns. Right now, it's the story getting back on track, getting my boy back from the DR, and filling in the holes that were created from things beyond our control. I know this is all like, you guys don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just raising my concern. I'm just talking out loud right now. But I am frustrated that it's taking this long, and I'm even more frustrated that it's going to take longer, But I always use the example of Avatar. They took so long on Avatar 2 that they just said, fuck it, at this point we should just make Avatar 3 and 4 as well. So they're making like 3 or 4 films at once for Avatar. What happened is they've ran into so many issues on all of them. It's been 12 years, and they haven't even put out the second Avatar yet. 12 years. Even if you're making 4 movies, guys, do the math. That's 3 years apiece. 3 years to make one movie. Now you take one person making a fucking movie and everything going wrong, no production budget, no crew. The fact that it's been a couple years and we're not finished is not at all. It's not that. It's not that shocking if you know the business. I did a movie. I forgot what it was called now. Diamond something, man. Diamond. That's how long ago it was. Guys, it was over a decade, I think, right? Or close to a decade ago. When I first moved to New York City, I did this movie. It was an independent movie, and I was all excited because I was all over this thing. And I told my family, my friends, I'm like, when this thing comes out, man, you're going to love it. And year after year went by, and the movie just never came out. And I kept in close, like, not contact, but I kind of kept dibs on the director. And he just... It wasn't finished. It wasn't done editing. He didn't feel right about the final product. And then when he did feel right about it, he couldn't get somebody to distribute it. So that movie just stayed on the shelf for almost a decade. Just recently, I got word that it's going to be on like a streaming, like maybe a Netflix or something. And I don't even know if that's confirmed. I just found out by somebody else who was on that same movie that this gentleman is finally going to put it out there. But that took a fucking decade, so... I know a lot of you guys are excited and can't wait for it, but trust me, not as excited as I am. But I'm also frustrated. It's going to take a while more. But trust me when I say Tyler's Day 30 will be a finished product. That is my baby. It's my first ever movie. And I have a lot more movies that I want to shoot. So nothing gets started or completed until Tyler's Day 30 is done. I'll keep you guys updated, man. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be finished anytime soon. But I'm always thinking about it, man. Every day I'm thinking about how can I do something different to get this thing fucking rolling faster. But I want it done efficiently and correctly, not just quickly. So that's the latest word on Tyler's Day 30. Guys, that's my half an hour. I'm already well over a half an hour. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for spending a half an hour plus talking some Q&A with the Amplified Man. I got to get down to the shore, do my cardio run, and hopefully survive it. Much love. Let's down this shit and get more. Whoop this shit's ass. Check you later. And guys, by the way, I know you're all asking the main Q&A question. Am I going to do a review on Double or Nothing this weekend? You can bet your ass in some way or form I will have words and my thoughts on Double or Nothing. So be on the lookout for it. And of course, tomorrow, AEW and NXT's reviews. So trust me, a lot more content this week on the channel. All right? Peace! Love you guys.